This episode is dedicated to my father, Wayman Mays. He passed away this past November, and I just wanted to remember him in the beginning of my research. It was about 10 years ago when I first started, and I called him and told him that I wanted to come home and go walk around the cemetery and take pictures of my grandparents' tombstones to be able to document those.
Yeah, the thing about it is that he wasn't very vocal in his support, but he, supported you quietly. When we were there, he would pass you a box of pictures.
Yes.
Or say, come on, let's go to the cemetery, because we didn't know where it was.
Right.
So that's kind of what I remember.
Yeah, he never really sat down and told me stories or anything about his childhood or his family or anything like that. But he was always good about pulling out old pictures and us going through old family pictures and telling me who all was in those pictures and walking through the cemetery and making sure that I documented all of our relatives' tombstones and took pictures of them and things like that. So that was something that, because I'm not a cemetery person and everybody in my family knows that I hate going to the cemetery. So he was always willing to take me and walk around with me. So that's something that we did together that I'll always have with me about this journey that I'm on.
Yeah, cool. Rest in peace, Mr. Mays.
Love you, Daddy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Journey Through the Generations. I'm Phillip.
Hey, guys. I'm Trisha.
And we are back.
I know it's been a long time and a long year.
It really has. And I know a lot of people have felt the same way, but it's 2021 and
it's a new year.
Yep. And even though we're still dealing with a lot of the same issues from 2020, we're going to try to stay positive and put some stuff out for
you
this
year. We'll start out the new year with the new podcast, and we're going to keep it going this time.
Right. So it's been a while. The last podcast we did was February 2020.
That seems like so long ago.
And of course, COVID hit in March.
Right.
Well, it was hidden, but really before that. But it got
real.
Yeah, it got really big in March. Where I started working from home March 14th or something like that.
Yeah, that's when the National Basketball Association shut down, all the amusement parks shut down, the Family History Library in Salt Lake City shut down. That's when I knew it was real.
Yeah, so, we've been dealing with a lot, with COVID and thankfully we haven't had any COVID issues in our family. I think a couple of people had it.
Here recently.
But it wasn't, they got over it.
Right.
Then we had an election and an inauguration, which was big time.
That was serious.
We can't go anywhere.
No.
So,
we haven't had a vacation since Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
that was the last place we went.
It's kind of hard to go and do genealogy research, because people did have virtual meetings and they opened up their records for online, but it's kind of hard to, because you want to go.
You want to be there. And I'm really an in-person, in-library researcher. I do research on my own on my computer, but when I really do my real hardcore research, I like to be in the library around the books. I don't know, it just seems like I'm being more productive, I think. I was able to do one small research trip to Little Rock right after my birthday in August, and I was able to go down to Little Rock to the Butler Center, and it was totally different. I had to get my temperature taken. I was the only one in the library. I had to make an appointment. I had to call a week in advance. I actually had to send them the list of things that I wanted to review so they could have it out for me, so we wouldn't have as much contact with the librarians and things. It was just it it was a little overwhelming because I'm just used to going in and getting what I want. But I had to do a lot of work ahead of time to prepare for that 2 hour trip to the library.
Yep. And then you heard at the top of this episode, we had an unfortunate death in the family. So just a lot, really going
Yeah, we
on.
had a lot going on.
A lot of things.
Also, before my father passed away, we were able to go through and help clean out his brother's home, our ancestral home, because that's the home that they grew up in with their parents. He still lived there. So we were able to go to that house in my hometown and go through it and go through pictures and documents and school records and just family mementos and things like that. So that was something that was definitely a good thing that came out of 2020.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, but...
And I still have quite a bit of boxes to go through as well.
Yeah. So we're happy to be back and we're ready to get started for 2021. How about it?
I'm so ready.
All right. So one of the things we did at the beginning of 2021 is we sat down and said, hey, instead of, coming up with resolutions, let's set goals.
Yeah, I like the idea of goals. It helps me to actually think that I'm obtaining something and I actually can write out. And it doesn't have to be just one specific thing like I'm going to do more research. I can be a little bit more specific with my goals.
Yeah. And so we set our goals for 2021 for both us individually and also for Journey Through the Generations.
Yeah, and that includes the blog and the podcast.
Yep. So we'll talk a little bit about those things as we go along in the episode. But one of the things that we want to talk through is the benefit of setting goals instead of resolutions. It increases your chance for success. Setting resolutions, it has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah, that it only lasts a couple of weeks.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, by January, you're gonna have broken your resolution." So it's really not something that you want to really bring into what you want to do for the year.
Right. When I think of resolutions, I always think of the generic. I want to lose weight. I want to save money. Those type of things, and I wanted to do something that I really wanted to be able to continue throughout the year with these goals.
Yeah. And the thing is that resolutions tend to not be so specific. So like you said, you want to lose weight. Okay. How do you want to lose weight?
How much weight do you want to lose?
What are you going to do to get there?
Are you going to work out? Are you going to change your diet? Are you going to get your family involved? There's so many other things that you can do. So when you set goals, you can have a goal and then you can have sub goals to help you be successful, I think.
Right. And doing that helps keep you motivated and focused on what's to come for the year. But when you set those goals, you have to set goals to where they're more attainable.
Correct. You don't want to set a goal to something far reaching that you probably are not going to be able to be successful at. I want to set myself up for success this year because I really haven't done a lot of research in the last 12 to 18 months. So this year, my goals are really to get me back into the habit of researching. They're to get me, excited about my research again. So that's why these goals are so important.
Yep. So what we're going to do today is talk about how to set goals. And then we'll tell you some of our goals that we came up for this year. But so what we're going to do is talk about how to set goals. And then we'll tell you some of ours that we set for this year. But before we do that, so, with COVID and everything, we've just pretty much shut down and stopped going to stores, right?
Right. We've been in the house.
And a lot of people are using home delivery for their groceries nowadays, right? So Instacart is one of those ones that you can use for for your grocery delivery.
Okay.
And so one of the things I think is good about Instacart is that instead of doing two or three different orders, because sometimes you go to two or three
Multiple
stores,
stores.
then you can do all of your orders on all of your stores on one order.
That's very convenient, and that way you can get your stuff at once
Right.
instead of having multiple deliveries. In this case, instead of going to multiple stores, we would have multiple deliveries
Yeah.
because we want to keep as many people away from the house, just like we want to keep away from other people.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah. And so one of the benefits of Instacart is they put you up, connect you with a personal shopper in your area and to shop, and they'll deliver the groceries from your favorite store. So we shop at multiple stores.
Correct.
When we don't shop at just one grocery store,
No.
and I believe that most people shop like
Yeah.
that. But our stores we shop at is Walmart, Sam's Club, and Aldi.
Correct.
So we can do all that, and they would deliver just one time at the house, like you said.
So instead of us being out for 3 hours making 3 stops, we have one person to do it all and bring it to us.
Right. Instacart will deliver in as little as 1 hour. It depends on how many stores that they're going to.
Right.
So you'll want to read the fine print on that. But we put a link down in the episode notes. It's a link for you to follow. It lets Instacart know that we sent you, and it helps support our show. So visit that link and use Instacart to have groceries delivered to your house. All right. So we talked about setting goals and how you set goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was reading an article in Forbes magazine discussing how to set goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really good. It made sense to me. And being in my, in a professional business setting all my career, you set goals every year for what you want to do. So I kind of subconsciously knew a lot of this stuff, but I kind of wanted to bring it like really nice and neat to everybody.
To be able to read it and see it and know that's what you're doing, it helps a lot.
Yep. So before we get started, I'll tell you that there's a link to this article in the episode notes. So if you want to go and read that article, you can do it by using that link. So the first thing you want to do when you're setting your goals is start by looking at the past year.
Correct.
Yeah. So I know some people say, well, don't look back. Well, I don't really agree with that too much.
Right. You have to know what you've done so you don't do it over again, or how you can do it differently and do it better.
Yeah, I think you want to figure out, what worked and what didn't.
Correct.
And so now you can say, if you want to continue doing those things, what do you need to do different?
Right.
Because you don't want to go doing the same thing,
right,
as you did last year and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Why
so
would you do that?
When I looked back at my research that I was not consistent with last year, the thing that I noticed was when I would research, I would just sit down at my computer and just search names of my family tree, not with a purpose, not with any intent. I just wanted to see what I could find on everybody in my tree. And that just was not beneficial to me at all. So going forward, I have decided that I will focus on 3 married couples this whole year. My grandfather, Booker, and the slaveholding family of my hatchet line. And that's what I'm going to focus on. So make sure you know what you're going to focus on.
Absolutely. The second thing is make sure you set realistic goals that are tied to your values. And so write it out. Write down, and I'm a list person. I like to write things down, or at the very least type them into my notes app on my phone or my computer. But set those realistic goals and write what's important to you and a vision for your life. And then set those goals to help you attain that vision that you have.
Right. Not only write them down, but keep a copy of them somewhere that you can see all the time. So I have my goals written out in my genealogy journal. I have it on my blog, but I also keep them in my folder where I plan to keep all of my research documents for those specific people that I'm researching this year. So I can see my goals. I can mark through them when I'm done with them. I can add to them if I need to. Just make sure that you have your goals in front of you that you can see as well.
Right. If you set a goal that you want to, move up in your job or whatever, you don't want to set a goal as, well, I'm going to become in order to do that, I got to take classes or whatever
Right.
it is. And is that really realistic for you to do? For some people, yeah, sure it is. It was for me. I took classes, took them at night and online classes or whatever I needed to do, but it's not for everybody because
Right.
if you got, 4 kids running around the house and you got all these different things going on, is it really realistic for you to be able to go back,
Yeah.
to school
And
at that
maybe
point?
right. And maybe you don't take 12 hours. You start out with 3 hours. You take one class. Do something that you know that you can be successful at. Your goals should make you be successful, not make you feel bad about yourself because you're not getting them done.
Yeah. And so once you kind of set those goals, now you want to create a plan on how you want to reach those goals. So what you need to do. And so this article had what they called a SMART plan. And the word SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So if you use that feature when you're setting your goals, you're more apt to be able to reach your goal.
Right. And that's the whole purpose of, these goals, or if you still call them resolutions, that's fine. That the whole goal is for you to be able to be successful and to complete them. So you want to be able to not only write them down, put them somewhere where you can see them, but you also want to be able to act upon them and get them done.
Right, and you want to make sure that it's measurable. That
Right, yeah.
if you have a goal to save $1,000 for the year, and you come up with a plan of saving X dollar amount out of every check for the year, then that's measurable because you
Right.
can go back and say, okay, I should have I don't know, making this up, I should have saved $100 by now. But if you're not at $100, now you know that you're falling behind on your goal, and you need to make some changes to what you do if you still want to meet that goal.
Right. Because one of my goals is to attend 2 genealogy conferences in 2021. So in order for me to do that, I have to, especially now that a lot of them are virtual, that means that I need to stay on top of, social media outlets to see what's going to be available in the genealogy conference world this year. Because, even though they're virtual, you still have to pay for them. So I still have to save money for them. So there's still things that I have to do to be able to achieve that goal of attending 2 conferences.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my goals too. Is to attend a few more conferences because I'm still in the rookie stage of family research, and I still don't know a lot about what I'm doing. So for
But you have a
me,
really good resource that you could tap into.
what
Trisha May's coming.
I'll use you when I get to a hard part.
No, you've done great on your own. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So for the last step in this is for each goal, set small steps and make sure you have an accountability buddy, somebody that'll help you stay on track, can tell you, hey, you need to get back on it. So you need to make sure that it's somebody that you can take direction from, and you're not gonna get in your feelings when they tell you you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Right. And you also need to make sure that person is actually going to tell you when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that they're going to give you that direction that you need when you need it. That's also important to find the right person to do that.
Right, for sure. So I hope these kind of steps that we talked about here helps you. Maybe you're already doing it. That's great. So hopefully you listen to this and it helps you with your goal setting.
Right.
And just because it's not January 1st doesn't mean that you
Right.
don't.
You can make a
set goals
goal
whenever.
whenever you want. January, March, August, December, whenever that idea or that plan pops into your head, that's when you start working on your goals.
Yeah. So some of the goals that Trisha's already mentioned, a few of the goals that she has set for this year. We kind of have individual goals, but we also have journey through the generation
Right.
goals. So for me personally, I want to research more often. I am a notorious I don't know what you call it, but I'm just notorious at doing a lot of things, a
Correct.
lot of different
Yeah,
things.
you always have a lot going
I
on.
always have something going on, and it's more important for me to do those things than research at the time.
Right.
And so I'm going to be focusing on a part of my family tree that's empty right now. Last year, I was able to fill in some of the spaces, but I have a big hole in my family tree that I need to help fill in. It's I know it's kind of taking me. Last year, it took me to, I believe, I've mentioned it before, I think, on the podcast. It's taking me to Guyana
Yeah.
in South America. But I also think it's getting ready to take me to Scotland.
Scotland, right, yeah.
And I have no idea about Scotland.
Yeah, me either.
And I had to look it up on the map just to make sure. I didn't. Of course, I
Right.
know where Scotland is,
But
but
the
I don't know
specific,
where it
yeah.
is in relation to other countries. And so I had to look that up. But I don't know anything about Scotland. I don't know, research about Scotland or anything. But I'm hoping that I can use some international resources that we learn about at Roots Tech this
Yeah, I
year.
think you'll be able to find some good resources that will be able to assist you in both Guyana and Scotland research at
Yeah.
Roots Tech.
And then also Trisha is talking about earlier how we went and cleaned out the home of her uncle, and she brought back a bunch of stuff. We brought stuff back, and then we had a friend drive from Newport with more stuff,
Right.
and my car is now sitting outside and not in the garage because that stuff is taking up my garage space. So,
But you have to admit,
talked about that's your goal for
right. You have to admit, I've gotten a lot of it out of the garage, not all of it. But one of the things that I want to definitely do is go through, because I was able to find so many family pictures, so many pictures of my grandmother in her organizations. She was a teacher, and church records, because she was a teacher. She was really into the Methodist Church. She was in all these organizations, and she never threw anything away. So I have documents of all the organizations she was in. I have photos of all of their meetings and conferences and things like that she went through throughout the years, from the 40s to the 80s. So I have a lot of pictures that I need to go through. I need to get them scanned onto my computer. I need to get them organized on my computer. Ultimately, my goal is to get them all organized, and I want to donate them to a repository. So a lot of these organizations from the 40s and 50s aren't around anymore because they were African American organizations, teachers organizations, church organizations that eventually merged with the Caucasian organization. So they're not around anymore. And so these organizations, and to be able to have these photos of all of these conferences and meetings that they were able to attend, that's history. My goal is to be able to organize them and donate them to a repository.
Yeah, and I think what we have to remember is that you always are going to have a lot to do as a family researcher.
Correct.
You just can't try to do everything all at one time,
And
right?
it's
Spread
hard.
it out. Yeah.
It's hard, but I will say that I guess it's right at 10 years of me doing this research. It was, I don't even know the words to express what it was like to be able to not only go through the house and see all these pictures and all these documents, but to know that my family members, my brother and his wife and my uncle, all knew that, well, Trisha's here. She'll make sure that what we need will stay safe. She knows what not to throw away and what to throw away. So the fact that everybody realizes that I am the family historian in the family, that gave me a sense of pride that they trusted all of this stuff with me.
Yeah. And then for the journey through the generations goes, we have quite a few, but a couple of the ones that we had was around the blog.
Yes, according to the for the blog, I want to again, because I haven't been consistent with my blog either this past year, so I want to write a blog twice a month. I want to continue with my Wordless Wednesdays, which is basically the only thing that I was actually consistent with. I want to continue that and post a Wordless Wednesday photo at least 3 times a month. And I think that's it for the blog.
Yeah. And then we talked about using our social media more.
Right.
We have the Twitter and we do well over there, but we set up the Facebook page last year.
Yes.
But everything started happening
Right,
with COVID, and we just really didn't push it out as much as we should have. So if you are on Facebook, you look up Journey Through the Generations and like our page and stop by and say hello. Another thing is this podcast. We're going to try to do at least one
Right.
per month. And there may be more depending on kind of what's going on.
But you'll definitely hear from us at least once a month.
Right. And so, and then there's a lot more that we're going to be doing. So,
And you hear about it throughout the year.
Yeah, so we'll continue doing some of those things. A couple of things we want to bring to your attention is Relative Race. So Relative Race is one of our favorite shows to watch.
It's so exciting. I love that show. And I saw them last at Roots Tech this last time in February last year. And they said then that they would be releasing the season 7 premiere date. And then, COVID hit and everything, and so they weren't able to do it. So they recently just released the premiere date of season 7 for Sunday, February 21st.
So I wonder I want to know how they handled COVID while they were doing this. So I know they got tested,
and the people who
all that stuff, and probably the people who they're gonna go visit tested. But still, you have to be careful in COVID, and you traveling around the country,
and all these probably different hotspots at different times.
So I'm sure they're gonna address it in this, on the first episode,
right?
The steps they took. But I'll just be interested to kind of know how they navigated that. But if you don't know what relative race is, Trisha, say how you describe it.
I think of Relative Race as a combination of Who Do You Think You Are, the TV show, meets Amazing Race. It's 4 paired up teams, and they race across the country in a car with paper maps and a flip phone. And it is exactly what it sounds like. You don't have any GPS, you have no Wi-Fi, nobody there to help you. It's just you and your partner in a car driving to meet people that you've never met before that are related to you. And it is so exciting to be able to see their journeys, because they take a genetic DNA test before the race starts, and they go to different cities and meet family members that they've never met before. And when I say family members, they not only meet their cousins, but in some cases they've met siblings. They've even met parents for the first time on the show.
Yeah, it's a pretty good show. I wasn't like keen on watching it at first, but it's a pretty good show. So if you want to watch relative race, like Trisha said, the first episode is February 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch it on BYU TV. If you don't have BYU TV, download the app and you can watch it there. That's how we watch it. And the episodes are live. Like, they don't, you know how some apps delay,
right?
And
yeah,
they
you
come
can
on the
actually
next
watch
day.
it.
No, it comes on live, and you can watch it when everybody else is watching it.
Or if you go to sleep early, shout out to all of those people, you can always watch it later on the next day also.
Yeah. And then another thing in the genealogy news is Roots Tech is going virtual this year.
I know. And when I first heard the news, I was like, oh my goodness, Roots Tech, I'm not going to be able to go to Salt Lake City. But I'm super excited about it. It's not only virtual, but it's free.
Now, that's the thing that got me. I knew that it was going to be virtual, because the way the world is right now, and it doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. I knew that we wasn't going to get to February and we be out of this thing.
Right.
And so, and not only that, this year they were supposed to move it up.
Correct.
The date.
Like, it was supposed to be February, the first week of February. So it was going to be next week.
Instead of the last
Correct.
week. And I was like, oh, I know that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I had no idea they were going to say free.
When they said free, I was like, whoa, did they mean that?
Yeah. And I think, Roots Tech is already the biggest conference in the world.
Yes.
Not the biggest genealogy
conference. Yes.
And so I still can't believe they're doing it for free.
It's hard for me to believe too. But
yeah, the content in it is just...
It's still so amazing. And even though
crazy.
It's virtual and even though it's free, it's still going to be the biggest genealogy conference in the world. It's still going to bring you hundreds of breakout sessions. You're still going to have those keynote speakers that everybody wants to hear. You're still going to have an expo hall. It's going to be virtual, but those vendors are still going to be there, and you're still going to be able to interact with them as well.
Yeah. So we'll save some more of that for our next podcast. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Roots Tech and what you can expect and all that good stuff. But what we do want to tell you about is that we're ambassadors again.
I know. That's so exciting.
Yep, year 2. So,
and once they said it was virtual, I didn't know if that was even going to be a possibility. But we were chosen, and we are honored to be able to do it.
Yeah, we're excited about it. So, some more information to come about Roots Tech. And I think we are going to wrap it up here.
Yeah, I think we did a bit of a catch up and where we are now. So yeah, I think we did good.
So we're really excited, y'all, to be back. We've got some great stuff coming up for you this year. We're happy that you were patient with us.
Thank you so much.
You were probably sitting there like, what happened to Phillip and Trisha?
Right. And if you started listening to our podcast during this time when we weren't putting out content and shows on a regular basis, thank you so much for being patient and listening to us and just wanting to have us back.
Right. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, please do so, and share with your family and friends and let them know we're here and they can subscribe as well. You can find us on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, that you listen to podcasts today. Like I mentioned earlier, we're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
You can find us by searching Journey Through the Generations. I'm also putting links to all of our social media down in the episode notes, so you'll be able to see and get to us pretty quickly.
And don't forget about the blog, journeythroughthegenerations.com. There's a lot of good content on there, and you'll be able to listen to our most current podcast there as well.
Yep. So I think that's it. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.